we want to get to a major interview off the top here at our 8 o'clock hour. Major revelations from a former advisor to the January 6th investigation regarding the Trump White House and what was going on inside there. Former Republican Congressman Denver Riggleman served on the January 6th committee as a technical advisor for 8 months until he left in April of this year. He is also a former military intelligence officer and a consultant for the NSA. And he lays all this out in a new book. It's called The Breach, The Untold Story of the Investigation into January 6th. It's an inside account of his time working with the committee. It was his job to analyze the digital records from that day, including White House phone calls. In an interview with Bill Whitaker last night for 60 Minutes, Riggleman claims that the White House switchboard connected to a rioter's phone during the riots on January 6th. Take a listen.
Did it hit you at one point that this is way bigger than it appeared in the beginning?
Absolutely. So you get a real aha moment when you see that the White House switchboard had connected to a rioter's phone while it's happening. That's a pretty big aha moment. You get an aha.
Wait a minute. Someone in the White House was calling one of the rioters while the riot was going on?
On January 6th, absolutely.
And you know who both ends of that call?
I only know one end of that call. I don't know the White House end, which I believe is more important. But the thing is, the American people need to know that there are link connections that need to be explored more.
Oh, boy. Denver Riggleman joins us now. Congressman, thank you very much for being here. That's an explosive soundbite, and I want to get into the details of that White House call. But first, big picture, because where my mom lives in West Virginia, where you're from in Virginia, where your folks are from in West Virginia as well, they may not even know that there's a committee investigating January 6th. And if they have heard of it, they think it was a peaceful demonstration where a couple people got out of hand.
Or they don't care.
Much to do about nothing. Or they don't care at all.
Or they don't care.
So from where you're sitting as a former Republican congressman, what's the reality for people?
Well, the reality, for us, we have this sort of microcosm, owning distilleries, in Virginia and Pennsylvania. We have tens of thousands of people come through. And since I've been on the committee, most people don't even know about it. They don't know that there's a committee report coming. They just think January 6th was this little thing that happened and we needed to move on. And really, it probably was just a bunch of people who wanted to save America and were patriots. And, that's something that, one of the reasons that I wrote the book in sort of this narrative fashion, trying to break down facts and what information warfare means, is because I had those discussions with people. And I got to tell you, even today, it seems like they're even more, I would say, ignorant about what's going on with the committee than they were when we first started. And I think that's a real problem.
You say it was an insurrection, an attempted coup,
Sure.
and that it was highly coordinated.
Yes.
That call there where from the White House, someone inside the White House, while the riot is going on, places a call to the rioter. You know who the rioter is. Any idea on who it might have been in the White House, and any other details you can share about this call, how long it was, et cetera?
Yeah, it wasn't a very long call. I mean, that's one of the things. It was less than 10 seconds. But what I want to explain to the American people, look at the switchboard as the tech, right? It's a desk phone. Somebody called, something called a call manager, works its way through the call manager, and really it strips that regular phone number and adds just a default number. So say you're calling from CBS News, you don't want people to know your desk phone, so it just sets to a default number. So when I say through the switchboard, it's just a switchboard number. So really the call is just from a desk phone to somebody, right, who's a DOJ charged defendant,
Is it possible it could be the president who made that call?
I would say it's probably not probable, but on the other hand, we don't know what those extensions or those numbers are.
But Denny, we should talk about the information that you got. That's what I think is so astounding.
Right.
You said, look, you tell the readers, you don't care if they like you or trust you. Just pay attention to the data.
Right.
Because what you did is astounding. Can you just you looked at number one, Mark Meadows. You said handed over the crown jewels. It was like staring into the mouth of madness.
Right.
Because by looking at text, looking at phone, explain exactly what you did briefly, how it worked.
Sure. When we first started, it took a little while to get started, but they asked me to build these technical teams, and what I had to do was find people a lot smarter than me. So I went out, people that had worked with, some three-letter agencies before, or people had done this kind of work.
And you have an intelligence background, important to know.
Yeah, it's just only about 20 years,
Yeah.
And just a lot of data analytics, NSA, United States Air Force, Office of Secretary of Defense, did some crazy things in my life, right? So I got a little bit of a background, but I think what happened was I needed to find some real incredible individuals. And what we did is we built these teams. I built the contracts for them, wrote the technical specs for them, and now these guys went out and did some amazing work. And what they did was they had to actually match all those text numbers to names. What names are they? Then when we started getting called detail records, they had to look at all those link connections. And right now we're probably close to 20 million lines of data.
But this is coming at great personal peril to you. You're getting death threats. insults. Your truck was sabotage. Even your own mother turned against you. In a text, you said, it was like, it was a punch to the gut. Your mom said, what happened to you? What's wrong with you? I'm sorry you were elected. You're not smarter than the truth. This is your own mother who doesn't believe you.
Right, and that's what I cover, is that this sort of information warfare, this digital metastasization of crazy, right, can get everywhere, right? And people are looking at things that just don't make sense, or they think, well, that's if it's the president telling me and all the people around him, it's obviously have to be true. It's just not. It's hogwash. And, as I go in that chapter, it finds out that, the love for my mother and her love for me will overcome that, and it did overcome it. But what I wanted to explain to people is that there's so many families that are almost in trauma trying to talk to individuals about something that is absolutely not true, right? It's a falsehood.
Not true.
It's just not true. There's no parsing it. It's just not true. There's just no parsing it.
Right. You left the Republican Party earlier this year, and you said you discovered some evidence that influenced your decision to do that. What evidence did you discover?
I thought I had this inkling that I could be some kind of new Republican. I didn't get into politics when I was 47.
What is your definition of a new Republican?
I thought the new Republican was sort of this libertarian bent, right? Once I did the same-sex wedding, I was for the legalization of marijuana. Oh my God, that went really well in Central Virginia. But so there were some things I thought that freedom, right? This individual liberty. We're not a party that's just small enough to fit in the bedroom, right? That kind of stuff. So. But what happened is that I found out I just really wasn't a really good tribal guy, right? I started to buck the system a little bit. It's my fault. I lost, right? So, but the thing was, the text messages is what really switched it for me, was looking at those text messages. Finally, I'm like, what, if QAnon or these conspiracy theories have saturated the GOP at the highest levels of leadership, I think maybe it's time for me to go from this type of crazy.
Congressman, your former colleagues on the January 6th committee, they seem to be portraying you as a small part of the overall effort. That's the message they're sending to the American public. Why do you think they're doing that?
Oh, I think what's happened is, if you look at this book, it's just about the data. I'm not sure why they're doing that. I think they need to read the book and understand this isn't a critique of the committee at all. I think there was some fear there. There shouldn't be, because what this data does, it supports the incredible work of the committee. Let me tell you, at the beginning, I was a little nervous, right? I was looking at how slow it was moving at the beginning. But once the committee got going and you saw that first hearing, holy cow, right? These are heroes, right? I would go to war with the people on this staff. They're amazing individuals. And that's why, listen, I'm not a sociopath. My feelings actually, I know it's hard to believe with, my amazing physique, but my feelings actually do get hurt sometimes, and I'm like, come on, this data actually supports the heroes behind the door, and that's why I love it.
Denny, you say you're not a sociopath, but you do call yourself a full-blooded redneck. Is being a full-blooded redneck a good thing?
Yeah, if you know how to work on a 390 high compression engine, you're a full-blooded redneck. But I think that's a stupid joke. I'm sorry, but I think that's what happens. Is, listen, if I were
Congressman, they're going to take us off.
They're going to take us off air. I love you. I'm sorry, guys.
I'm sorry. The book is a real page turner. It's called The Breach. It goes on sale tomorrow. Right now, it is 8:10. Time to check your local weather. Thank you, Congressman. Appreciate it.